particularly the Neptune going over my ascendant. But Saturn there is too a factor which is trying to whip up something of myself to project, like to build, but with Neptune there, it's able to project and build, but it's not apt to want to reach for anything solid, really. It's more of a very spiritual, nebulous feeling and passage, really, for me, it not being near my ascendant, but getting close, like it gets right on it, about 6 degrees. And it's been going toe to toe with the projector system. I've talked about that before, and I am very disappointed that it seems that, it's just, I don't know what to feel about it, except where it's happening that I have to grab a hold of it and give my version of who I am, the projection, of something that I find is a lot more reality based than what the projector system is coming up with, which is, I would say that the Saturn and even Neptune. Saturn wants structure and wants to get definition, and Neptune is mainly the projector system now. It really is. For all of humanity, we're looking at a passage that it's not through Pisces yet, and Pisces really is the ruler of Neptune, and when Neptune goes back into Pisces in October, will be interesting, to say the least. It's kind of like for everybody. Yeah, I just get the visualization of, like, don't forget you're in the ocean, and here comes Riptide. Like, now everybody is going to know about their projector system and how it's not a reflection of reality. Not at all, right? That's what they say, is like the news, or especially the news but your television set, the screen, is not a reflection of reality. So I keep creeping in the third-party witness. That is something we need to talk about, because really, what is that? Well, it's just another word or another combination of words for saying reality. But we've always heard about the third party, somebody, something, there's a third party, and it usually means somebody else off in the background that has an influence, and it's like, no, that's not what I'm talking about, and we need to put it in capital letters if you want to get metaphorical about it, that there is reality here, and it doesn't matter if you like it or not. The projector system, now we can talk about that. See, now I'm not talking about just cameras shining anywhere and everywhere, right? In every corner and every intersection. But it's looking like that, right? See, the cameras are just there filming outer space and what is happening within there. See, what projects is, you can say, Antichrist, which tries to it tries to tell you or give you a version of it which could be photoshopped, right? I mean, really, it's a big world out there full of these horrible camera angles. We talk about how horrible NASA really is. Why do they insist on having the fish lens or anything altering our perception of what it could maybe looking at just through a camera alone? It's bad enough that it's not a reflection of reality. See, you're not really there, but you're watching a version, right? So now we're getting into the effect of the playing telephone, where you whisper inside one ear something, and then you keep whispering about something, and then it comes out a completely different compared to the beginning. You get the idea. When do we kind of come back to reality itself and say, well, too bad that doesn't matter, I mean, all that matters is now, and have you had any food yet today, kind of a thing. And if so, where did you get it? Can you identify what you're eating? Are you in control of it at all? But I didn't just say at all that um, none of it was any use to us, although we aren't really being useful to ourselves enough. What I mean is, we don't include that third party witness enough to make it work for us. Like, okay, especially in the Western United States here, but the US alone, with its Hollywood and its whole way of handling the organism. What I mean is the human population, supposedly just the programmable aperture. That's exactly it. It's kind of delicately handled, being sure that the third party witness is not included, but you have to imagine how it is based on what somebody says, kind of a thing, and to really get into the past, really get into somebody else's life, somebody else's version, a version, right? And it's not like we can't inform ourselves, but at what point, I mean, what do we know about our own interest if we're always constantly being shown or told something? And how does that feel, to be interested in something, like to allow something in other than a suggestion, and something always buzzing on the background, always calling, right? It's kind of getting into some hell of a territory. I say it's the ultimate truth. Your life is waiting, you know, and there's where I've been experiencing something quite remarkable, like I'm talking about with this Neptune creeping near my ascendant, and then, well, we do have Saturn there, but everybody's kind of going through this. I go like this is because Saturn and Neptune are conjuncting, they're kind of doing a dance like this. So we'll see, right, by October when Neptune does. See, when Neptune goes backwards, which I think it starts in August, it brings clarity to a lot of people about what just happened with the Neptune going into Aries. And a lot of, clarity for Neptune is like, okay, so, but did you get your goggles on and you're able to see some images, right? But usually with dealing with water, once you get, like, when you're doing scuba diving or something, it's so foreign of a place. It's like, well, wait a minute, I had no idea that all of this is here. It's so colorful. What can I do with it? Certainly you don't want to do what the military does with it or anybody else like that, that can't respect other life at all on the planet. Be careful. Most likely, you see, with this Neptune aspect going back into Pisces, it does trigger off emotions in people. This is where we might experience somewhat of some rapture or something. Now, if we want to talk about it further here, we can, but I need my glasses for that. Pardon me while I get them. Hopefully they will work. Right? Thank God for editing lately. But I don't know, I've been going through such difficulty. Talk about a nebulous time. I think it's messed up because, we can be influenced by people that are confused or things that are confusing or whatever. Just the system is designed to confuse. So there you go. And it's very nebulous. So I was looking at like when precisely that Neptune starts to go backwards, and it turns out it's in July the 4th, which is, I think I already talked about that. It gives us a chance to see more clearly through the deception if we are experiencing deception. And let me tell you right now, if you see a world out there, all of it's deception, the whole thing, you're experiencing deception down to what you think about your existence here is complete farce. Any thoughts? It's kind of interesting. Shauna, what do you mean? And can you calm down? Can we go and get some water? And it's like, good question. I do have some water. It's quite the ordeal. You know, if you have lost sight of three things, which would be you want good land to roam across and have it safe, but mainly you want that land first and foremost to have clean water, and then you grow your food. If you've lost sight of those three things, talk about deception. You have been just completely raked over. Who knows what you're doing now? And all you wanted was some food and some water, and then a place to semi get all comfy under. Be careful of the semi. Is it running through your front yard? Just want to be quiet. And really, they don't talk about, well, what about the phases of life? Like, who is turning 50 at this point? Hi. And what happens there with that generation who really, it's a fire that gets set under their ass with the Chiron return, but particularly my generation with going into 50, they have had Chiron return in Aries, which is in fire, which is not easy. It's the same for everybody, though, Steve. We're all kind of humanity going through this. It has to do with our, Chiron is the wounded warrior, and then just basic, Shauna astrology off the top of my head, how that Venus is squaring, or no, it's conjuncting it. So it's kind of reminding us of some wounded places in our love life. Maybe it's trying to heal it there, but Aries and Venus there is kind of awkward. We're going to feel a difference when Venus moves into uh, Taurus, which is coming up here in June on the 7th and 8th. You'll notice a more of a cooling, calming difference, and it does trine my Venus. I want things to change for the better. I think that it's right for me to have at least one day in court that I am speaking for myself and shedding a light on some things that need to be looked at. Otherwise, I'm going to just be shafted. Something trying to talk about the projector system, and so that's kind of what I'm experiencing and talking about. And honestly, I just want to get it all behind me and start getting into the dream that I can get into with what I can work with. I want what I have. I want to be able to work with what I have. The main thing, of course, we can talk about that some people might be interested in too, maybe you're interested in it, maybe, is our love lives, the people that we allow close to us to share any of this stuff. Now, for me, well, talk about Neptune, how it was opposing my Venus, but I'm getting away from that. I'm trying to see the silver lining in all the clouds, more like wearing my rose-colored glasses to the point of it's looking like desolation, like more like, just left in the desert, and what do you have to work with? That's kind of what it feels like, because, well, when there's no communication, there isn't any real relations. Yeah, when there's just no communication at all. It is so disappointing because you can't be doing all the communicating, right? And so if you did, see, if I did, I don't know, it just is screwed up that some people just do not really communicate, and what it really spells out really is respect, that they don't really have respect. They're looking at you completely different lens, talk about projection. So what we don't like about narcissists is that they're not dealing with you in reality. See, they don't like reality. They don't count the third party witness. That is just, you don't go there and include that. You are something they carry in their heads, and they're, even though you're right there in front of them, and the real is going as far as reality, they're not including that. They're still dealing with a version of you in your head, and once it starts to misalign in any way, shape, or form, and you might be behooved to do it. You might just say, you know what, I'm going to just be so different, because you see how that they're kind of, in effect, cramming you through their cookie cut version of life. They'll try to do that, talk about that projector system again, and you just don't let it happen. I'm sure you've heard some of it going all over the internet, right? It's like, don't let them tell you who you are, you show them or whatever. And I say, why do you need to do that? See, reality keeps showing up for me, and I'm like, well, thank God for reality. It speaks for itself, because then we don't have to stand up for ourselves or anything. Just let's be. Can we be? And take notes if you have to. Take notes, or record. Record the fucking thing. Or record voices. That's one of the things that you'll notice is when you're having a conversation with a narcissist, or I guess it's just toxic people, if part of their toxicity involves that they don't include reality in this, the subject matter. There isn't any of that they're drawing off of. So you're never going to hear from them there. It's like you have to listen to a fucking version. I'm sorry. See, 80% of people are like this. 92% actually now, since the C-19 announcement, are like this. That it's all about talk, right? And then you say one thing, and then you've programmed them, and the next day it's that way until you say something else a different way, and it's like, you fucking people are so. It's called black and white, I guess, right? And pretty soon it's boring because, well, first of all, you can't use all of the colors because they don't understand it. It's like too confusing for them. I don't know. It's too confusing for me to be around it. And what are you talking about, Sean? Boy, I would love to make an escape. I am very wary about inviting people into my space here to rent the home that I have. See, I'm trying to scale down, and I'm trying to make what I have work for me, like to make it work, like to actually make money, right? And see, I have, talk about my projector system. In my mind, I have a problem with that. I see just, it could be just nothing but problems with people, right? I mean, I would love to find the right, perfect, now is it going to be just person or persons? Man, oh man. All I know is that financially, I don't want to sink. I feel like I can't hold any of this up. I want to get on top of it, and I'm supposed to float with this. I have ancestral um, inheritance that I think I'm supposed to just cash in and take a fucking flight out of here to, I don't know where really quite yet. For whatever reason, Africa has been calling, but a lot of people try to discourage me about it, and because of the kinds of people, and I'm like, babes, there's those kinds of people everywhere. What are you talking about? I don't want to have to go anywhere. But you got fucking these kinds of people here. What kind? Oh, it's probably way worse than that you could find out in the jungles of Africa. I mean, I'm telling you, because of the way that people are fashioned up in their heads, just completely. full of it, right? You could say that. Gaslighters, just deal with. I mean, I know that I'm not perfect, so I try to be with things. Just at least let's include reality. Thanks for listening. Do you think it's possible? Comment section down below.